Hi, beautiful people. This is Becoming Me with Alana Wilson. I am your host. Today we have Jon Mendonca on the show. This is also the first episode, so thank you for coming on for the first episode, Jon. Transformation isn't sweet and bright. It's a dark and murky, painful pushing, an unraveling of the untruths you've carried in your body, a practice in facing your own created demons, a complete uprooting before becoming. Jon is he is an avid supporter of sobriety and addiction recovery. Jon is a published author of the book Life on Life's Terms, which was number one in its genre for addiction and alcoholism. And he has a podcast himself called An Addict's
Addict's Truth.
An Addict's Truth. So,
Yeah.
Jon, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.
Tell me about yourself. Like, who are you? Who is Jon?
Well, first, thanks. Congratulations on episode 1. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
I'm excited. It's definitely a deep question of who I am. Today, I've been sober for 6 years.
Congratulations.
Like you said, thank you. I'm an addict. I'm an addict, but I'm an advocate for recovery, mental health, sobriety. Published author. I like sports. Yeah, it depends. I have a lot of different, I think, facets to my life. So it depends what aspect.
That's awesome.
You're interested
That's
in,
really. I feel like it's you're much deeper than you look. I feel like you have that kind of look to you. And then to find out about like you and your stories and your everything. So can you kind of just give us a background for the people that don't know that much about you, or don't know anything about you at all? Why don't you tell us, like, just from the start, like, where are you from? Who is Jon, from childhood years, like who, like, where are you from?
Absolutely. Well, I'm born in Danbury, Connecticut.
Awesome.
Lived there until about middle school. Moved to Brookfield.
Cool.
I'm 35. I graduated Brookfield High School, and yeah, I mean, I grew up just church, God, family, and baseball. That was my whole life. My goal was always to be like a Major League Baseball player. I had the talent. The people pushed me and around me, tell my parents to stick with it. I had the work ethic, and it was on my heart. Like, I felt like God really put it there. It wasn't for like maybe a little ego, but not, just ego. I loved baseball, and I knew the other thing I wanted to do was help people, and I knew I could make a lot of money doing it, which in turn would give me the opportunity to help my parents, my family. Even when I was a kid, I wanted to like help the homeless. So it gave me kind of both: do what I love and help a lot of people with that financial freedom. And then early traumas happened, and I went a way that I never thought I would go, probably before the age of 12, and that brought me to here.
Okay. I'm so sorry about that. So can you tell me about what were those traumas? Like, what was something that really, like, what was the moment that really changed your life?
The biggest one I found out in therapy and rehab, my last rehab, was I was 12 and we were playing paintball with friends, and we had 2 parents there chaperoning us. So we were all in the same grade. We were 12 years old. It was a beautiful Thanksgiving, around Thanksgiving, like fall day. And we were in the quarry by my house in Brookfield, and walking back to my base with my team and one of the dads. And sadly, the dad fell. I thought he tripped. And he passed away that day on site from, like, I guess it was his 4th major heart attack. So, my ideal life was like everything is good as I see it. Like, God's good. I get what I want. Wasn't spoiled. We were lower middle class. My parents had me young. But, I didn't have any traumas. And at 12, I never been to a funeral or had a family member die. I played baseball. Like I said, I had food on the table. So nothing was really bad in my life. That moment, I never prayed again until I got sober. And I just started to question everything. It was a really traumatic moment. Like, why God, or why would that happen to him? He was only 50, maybe 8. He's on the younger side. And it just showed me quick that like life happens quick. Yeah, and then there was a few more after that, and then that really set me off on a different path.
So sorry.
Mm.
And, when would you say was the moment that you felt yourself start to turn away from God in your earlier years? Like, was it that moment exactly, would you
Yeah,
say?
yeah. I stopped praying that night. That was the first night I didn't pray. I didn't pray again till probably my sobriety date, or a couple days after that, when I was
Mm,
28, 29. So, and I think I was like, oh, I'll give him a chance. And then, yeah, my freshman year was what, 2 years later.
mm,
Excited for my freshman year of baseball to make my like my resume for
mm,
colleges. And I ruptured my spleen a week before the season started, just jumping on a trampoline as a kid.
mm,
Bad incident. And then the next week, I spent a week in ICU, bleeding internally. Got sent home, and 24 hours later, I was back in the ICU in the hospital, and my throat closed up due to mono. And they didn't know what it was because coming back negative. So just by like probably the age of 15, I watched someone pass away, and then had two other pretty traumatic, I wouldn't say near death, but could have been situations. I feel like after that, I was just like, you know what, God and life, like you just keep coming for me. I'm just gonna do what I think's best, and that in turn started just a lot of like OCD, PTSD. I had ADHD, but I felt like I had to control everything. Like God and life don't have the best for me, so I'll handle it.
You felt like you had to control the things that you couldn't control, essentially, um, because of the fact that you couldn't control other things. So you had to control the things that you felt you could control, which was your life and the direction of your life. But essentially, it ended up, biting you in the butt later on. But
Mhm.
that mindset is something that I feel it's more common than you think. And everybody tries to control different things in different ways.
Mhm.
It's really sad, but I'm so happy that you've come back today. Can you bring me back to that moment? um can you bring me back to that moment when you were playing that paintball game
Mhm.
and you saw that father
Mhm.
unfortunately pass? Like, what were you thinking in that moment?
I don't know if I remember today. I think my mind blocked a lot of it out. I just remember panic, and like we ran and got cell phones. I mean, that's when cell phones probably just came. I think I probably had like my mom's cell phone. I didn't have a cell phone at the time. And we called 911, and it was just sheer panic. It was just,
Mm,
yeah, no control. I mean, obviously, it wasn't a great scene to see. The son was there, who was a kid I grew up with. So it was just a moment of, yeah, it makes it really real that you have no control. My aunt was a nun, my great aunt, and she used to say, when you're born, God stamps a date on your ass, and that date and
mm,
time comes, that's it. So that was her peaceful way of looking at it, and I think I have my own now somewhat. I don't even know. But it was just, yeah, sadness, like, why really came. And now today, I don't try to ask why about much. I turn to faith in God, but at the moment, it was just like, how could this be happening kind of over and over? You know what I mean? Like, we're just a beautiful fall day having fun. Like, why would this go down? And I think that's where it started to be like, well, how can I control things or keep myself out of that moment again?
And do you realize now that you were in a way disassociating?
Mhm.
Is that something that you've come to realize? Like, have you done the work on yourself to kind of just realize that, disassociation is something that you've been continuously doing?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I loved about drugs and alcohol. Like, it's not a good thing, but it numbs you. You don't have to you
Mm,
deal with heavy emotions that some people like maybe never go
escapism.
through. Yeah, just escape, numb, and keep it moving. And now even in sobriety, there's moments I do therapy. I've done a lot of self work, personal development, and I don't think we really even notice how much sometimes we try to dissociate. Like today with our phones, with social media, with the news, like you're throwing things people never used to see 20 years ago. All you saw was your wife and work and home, and now you're seeing like everything. So I think a lot of times I've caught myself even in sobriety being like, let me just numb that and not even feel it and dissociate. But thankfully lately, like a lot of meditation. The things I do today try to keep me present.
That's so great.
Mm.
I'm honestly like I just hearing your story and everything, like I'm so happy for you. So, take us back to when it is that you felt yourself starting to transition into the place of no return. From that moment with the, with the paintball and the father passing away. And then like when was it that you felt yourself starting to venture off into, the road of troubles and, addiction and whatnot?
So first, it was really anger was my first way to like addiction and handle emotions. Whatever, I didn't like, whether it was my parents, my brother, like I would just freak out. I couldn't even have a door on my hinges because I would put my head through it as a teenager. Then I got introduced like anyone, hey, oh, it's a party. It's the girls are coming. Let's get some drinks. Like tried it, and right away I was like, oh yeah, this is what I need. You know what I mean? This is that
Mm.
numbing like escape. Like I'm away from all this fear and trauma and frustration and depression.
What drugs were you using at that time?
So really just alcohol at first. I
Okay.
was just like a kid, and then a little weed. But none of them stuck because alcohol I can't control myself. I'm way too messy. Or angry, and then weed was just boring. I'd just laugh or fall asleep. So it never didn't really like turn me on. Like it helped, but I was like, this isn't. I could see this isn't my life. Self medicating, and then I think I must have been 17. I tried for the first time OxyContin, and the second I did it, I knew I was about to throw my like years of my life away. I was like, I mean, better than sex. Like I was like, this is it. Like quieted all the noise in my mind, gave you the euphoria. I was still in control because it doesn't make you like alcohol, like messy. Man, inside it did answer the questions. It just will take your life away and all your money and relationships, everything.
What
So
was it that you saw flashing before your eyes when you decided that you were gonna essentially, throw your life away in what you were thinking? And
mm,
like what was it that you saw leaving your life and exiting your life in that moment?
everything that mattered. I remember when they say fork in the road, I was driving in the road, and I remember having a craving to call the next day. I only did it once, and I had this like subconscious feeling like you should call and get more. And I remember being nauseous, like where did that come from? Like scared. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is a fork in the road moment. And kind of subconsciously, I made that call. And I just knew, like, I'm about to lose it all. Like, family relationships, money, the Yankee, like, playing baseball. All my dreams are about to vanish.
Were you close to your mom and your dad at that time?
Yeah, my family was very tight knit. I put my brother through a lot and my parents, but he had to watch a lot of the fighting. My parents were just tired of me, but we always were like a tight knit family. And they still trusted me at that point because I wasn't like a drug addict yet. But I just I don't know. It's like God just flashed that before my eye. Like it's about to get bad. That's what addiction does. Once you do it, everything is a lie that you say. Everywhere you go, who you're with is a lie. How you get your money, like everything is just not the morals I was raised to. And ultimately, like I had to pay that price as time went on.
It's definitely interesting to sit across from somebody who is the addict. Um, because, I had that in my family as well. I have addiction in my family. And, I'm the person in this seat that is the family member of the addict.
Mm.
And so, like, what advice, or not, I wouldn't say advice, what is something that you wish you could tell somebody that is a family member of an addict, like
Mm.
to help them to process the situation and to like know what to do about handling somebody that is an addict?
I would say that that's their medicine. They're self medicating. It has nothing to do with you.
Mm.
Because in turn, my brother ended up, battling drinking a little bit, or a good bit, but he was still successful, and then taking his life. So in turn, I ended up being that family member later on, and I get it. I mean, that was my hardest thing is like, why can't you just reach out for help or get better? And that was weird for me because I always was the fuck up, always out of my big family. I was just the destroyer of it, and it was tough to battle that someone so close. And I've dealt it with other family members, with friends now, and it's weird being on the sober or the normal side, I guess. Um, but just that they're self-medicating, you know? I never wanted to be there. It's not fun. I remember one conversation with my dad where he finally got it. You know, he's not an addict. He doesn't understand mental health. He's just kind of like your normal guy. God guy, goes to work on time, doesn't get drunk even though he likes to drink, like just very straight edge. And one day he was just like, "What is wrong with you? Like, when are you gonna get it together?" And I remember looking at him and be like, "Look in my eyes." I was like, "Does it look like I'm having fun?" You know?
Mm.
And I saw him. He like had this wave of sadness come over his face and just kind of like stared at me blankly. And ever since then, he dealt with way more love and compassion because I think he realized like I was a hurt soul. I wasn't out there like, sure, there were fun times, but once you get a couple years into addiction, like it's not fun. You know, you're self medicating to, that's all you know. And I had an amazing doctor at the last rehab I went to. He's one of the top, I don't know who he is, but one of the top doctors in addiction in the world. And he explains why it's considered a disease now. What happens is if you and me drink and you're not an addict, I am just saying that. I don't know. But, and we drink, say, a beer, my brain will create a protein in the primal part of my brain that yours won't. And what it says is need more, need more, need more. And that's what happens. And you chase that no matter what it takes from your life.
Mm.
When the normal person is just trying to like, "Ah, I got a little buzz. I'm gonna go to sleep now." You know what I mean? Like, no, mine says go, 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 go until I wake up on the floor or something like that.
And so, what would you say was your lowest moment when it comes to um, being an addict? Like, what
Mhm.
was the moment where you were like, I really have to turn my life around?
There's a lot. And that's the other tough thing with addiction. People pick their rock bottoms. I've had a few. I mean, there's really two that come to mind. One was the last time I got arrested. I've been arrested 7 times, from the age of 17 to 27, so almost once a year. And I was sitting in a jail cell in I think it was Putnam County, 4 a.m., coked out and drunk, and I had warrants in Connecticut and New York at the time. On top of that, and I don't know, I just, you know, when you have those like real life realizations, like everything clicks. I sat back. This dude next to me was screaming at the top of his lungs. I don't know what, he was losing his mind or crazy or drugged out. There was a girl crying in the one next to me, and I just sat back and was like this is not Yankee Stadium. Like, what happened in my life? You know, it was the opposite of
Mm.
that fork in the road. I saw clearly what ended up happening. You know, like this is not how I saw my life from age 1 to 14. And you know, I just got honest with myself. Like something's got to change here. You got to start taking suggestions, get help. And then I did all that. It all got better, but then I did relapse with just drinking. I never went back to opiates since 2018. And just sitting there, you know, hungover at my friend. I had 30 days sober, relapsed. Woke up on my friend's couch. We still to date argue if I pissed myself or spilled the water bottle. But my knuckles were gushing blood. There was a girl there I didn't even know. It was just a disaster of a morning. And I went out just saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna have a couple." And that was my proving to myself I don't drink safely like the normal person. That acceptance. A lot of addicts and myself, we learned the hard way, and that's what I needed to learn is through failure. And I just surrendered that moment, and that was March 3rd, 2019. That's when I got sober. I actually went to I got the girl, said, "You want to party still?" And she said, "Yeah." And it was like 10 a.m. I mean, this is sad, but funny. Got a bottle of liquor, got a hotel in Danbury, just drank and partied throughout the whole day. And I told myself, like, if I live through this, then tomorrow morning is my. So that was actually March 18th. I was like, I'll get sober. And I woke up that next morning, and that's where sobriety started for me.
And you just decided to turn it all around.
Yep.
This perspective is just so interesting. Just hearing about how, that's always addicts are always kind of like, I'll do it tomorrow. Like there's
Mm.
that continuous pushing it to the next day and like procrastinating when it comes to like getting help for yourself. Would you say that you hated yourself?
Partly, I think more just zero self esteem. Like you're doing no esteemable acts. You know no one could trust anything you say or do. You know you're not gonna
Mm.
do it. You told yourself for 10 years straight, like tomorrow I'll get, like you said, tomorrow I'll get sober. Tomorrow I'll do half of the amount. Tomorrow I'll ask for help, and you just realize like nothing I say is really gonna come true, and it's more just depressing. Like I could never believe in myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
And when would you say was the moment for you that realized that you truly were mad at yourself? What was the thing that where you were like, "Okay, you know what? I'm so mad at myself." What was the one of the worst things that you ever did that made you feel that you were really mad at yourself?
I mean, that morning when I got sober, there's other things I'm really embarrassed of, I'm sure. But that one was like just waking up like that, I literally thought I was just having a couple. And I was coming off of 30 days sober. So like I was doing great. I was in the gym. My relationships were getting better. My whole life's getting better. And that's why it really is a mental disease. It's so hard to articulate for non-addicts. Like I truly believed I was having a couple. But
Mm,
for 10 years I did the same thing over and over. Why did I think that? And that's addiction. It's your mind telling you you truly believe, like, you think you could drink normally. Like, I just had so, like, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, they have this thing called the hot stove method. So, if I have a hot stove, I put my hand on it, it's gonna burn. Am I ever gonna if I'm not truly insane, I'll never put my hand on that hot stove again. It just makes sense. And I won't as an addict. But with an addict, you can do 10 years of the same results, doing the same thing, and every time you told yourself it was gonna be different. And that's exactly the best way to explain alcoholism and addiction and relapse. Every day you're like, it's insanity. You think today's gonna be different and it's not. And yeah, it's just a very sad way to live. It's tough.
and so when it came to your brother and the
Mhm.
connection that you had with your brother,
Mhm.
tell me what that was like.
I mean, young, we were super tight. I think we were always tight. There's times we grew apart. But yeah, I mean, when I delivered pizzas as like a teenager, he'd roll around with me. Like he always looked up to me with sports, video games. Just I was an older brother. But obviously in addiction, he was never a true addict like that, and a very smart kid, and very hurt. So he just pulled back for a lot of years. He just didn't want to put a lot of effort into it because he knew one day something bad was probably going to happen.
Mhm.
So he just like kind of kept his distance.
And tell me about what ended up happening with your brother, because I'm aware, but I
Mhm.
know
Yeah.
everybody may not know about what
Mhm.
happened. So what ended up happening?
He just started to struggle. Normal dude. You never know. He had a concussion months before. He also said he tried Molly and he thinks it kind of like messed with him because he did it for like 2 days in a row. He never did it before. But he said since then he was never really the same. He said he had like racing thoughts. He was drinking more, wasn't doing his hobbies, so definitely some kind of like depression, anxiety. And one night he was just fighting with his girlfriend, closed the door and took his own life. And if you saw him, that's why mental health is wild because tattoos, big dude, everyone loved him, life of the party. Didn't even though being a big dude didn't want to hurt a fly,
But he was quietly struggling.
and quietly just battling like a who knows what. Honestly, to this day, we'll never know.
Do you worry that do you think about the fact that, like, do you feel like you missed the signs? And do you
No, I knew. I warned my family weeks before.
mm,
I think just being someone that struggled with mental health, I played a part in putting him through hell for years. It just all added up, like in my soul. I remember kind of threatening my parents, like, "Yo, something's gonna happen to him soon." I thought more of like a car crash or something, drinking and driving. Um, but no one in my family saw it, and they really didn't because he was like very functioning. I mean,
mm,
I was living at home as a bum trying to get sober at 30 years old, and he had a high rise place in Stamford, then in Norwalk, expensive Challenger, all blacked out. He worked in the city for NYU doing HVAC. That's what I mean. When he came in the room, he was funny. He was the man. So no one saw it coming. And I don't know if it makes it better or worse, but I could just tell it wasn't my brother, and he, wasn't himself. Yeah, like we talked about before, you could just when you've gone through stuff, you can tell when someone's really going through it, and it's tough to swallow when you can't help them.
would you say that you hold any sort of resentment towards your parents for not, or your family even in general, for not really
Mm.
like doing anything about it?
No, because he came home one time and he just told them randomly, and he was not one to open up about anything unless he was drinking, like a real tough guy exterior. And he did say, "Mom, Dad, I'm having some mental stuff." And right away they like tried all these things, but it was right after COVID, so he had to wait like 6 months for a therapist appointment. Everything was backed up. My mom, she's amazing. She did like research on all this like herbal stuff for anxiety. Like she tried to do whatever she could in the moment. And she pressed him. She was like, "You got to tell me if it's suicidal and da da da." And he was like, "No, no, I promise it's not." Because then she's like, "Well, it's okay if you need to go to the hospital or like immediate care." And he was like, "No, it's not that." So I know, one thing I know about my parents, we both put them through hell and back, and they'll do whatever they can. Maybe the first week I resented them, but obviously where I'm at today, I reflect a lot and try to see things clearly. And yeah, no, and I get it. People don't get it. If you haven't been through it, my dad has said about my brother, I just don't get it. And I remember just telling him in the beginning, you don't want to get it. Like the
Mm.
only reason I get it, not exactly suicide, but like I understand the struggle. Like things can get dark, man. Like you don't want to understand how bad it is. So I have empathy for them, and the rest of my family was just shocked.
Mm. How do you feel like you started to turn your pain into purpose? Like, at which point did you feel like you needed to make a change, and how did you go about making that change?
So I mean, I did a 12-step program, like AA or NA, whatever. And on the 12 step is a service to other people. So they say that's when you've completed the steps, but it's a lifelong thing, and that's what will keep you sober. I got there, and basically, it was 1 year sobriety, and 3 days later, COVID shut everything down. So I finally got my life back, and I was stuck at home. And in 1 week, 3 friends died. They all overdosed. I think one took his own life, but the other two overdosed, and one was like my childhood best friend. So I was rocked at the core, and I called my mentor and said, "Man, I can't do this. I'm gonna relapse. This is too much. Like I'm too early on to be handling like a world pandemic. My friends are dropping like flies." And he was like, "Oh, service to others. Find ways to help people." And I remember being like, "I'm stuck in my mom and dad's house in my bedroom. Like, what am I gonna do to help people?" And he's like, "Pray." And that's how we live our lives today. So I cried, prayed on my knees, and I was like working out, running like crazy at this point. My first couple years of sobriety. Went on a run, and it was like July, like a hot day, and it just hit me and like struck me with like God just put the idea in my heart. Social media, and this is before there was influencers and everything we have going on today. I think what TikTok came out during COVID really popped off, so like that wasn't even really a thing yet. And all I had was Instagram and Facebook, and like some local like 200 followers on each. So I was like, hey, if everyone's dying around here, if I can get because of fentanyl, so if I can get like one person to save their life, that'd be cool. And it really came because my 3 friends that passed never would fully admit they're an addict or alcoholic, and never fully commit to sobriety. Because I get it, there's a big stigma. So I was like, I'll kill that stigma, and I'll get people to ask for help. And so I just posted online a picture of me like cracked out with no shirt on, and a picture of me flexing with my shirt on, and I wrote my story. I was just like, I'm tired of putting RIPs. If you want help, DM me. You're not alone. Like I'm an addict, alcoholic. I've been sober for a year. I thought maybe it would take a year to get someone, and like probably 30 people locally reached out for help. And I was like, okay, God did have an idea here. And man, it's taken off from there. I mean, now reaching like 90 million a year on socials.
That's
TikTok does
awesome.
a lot of it. Yeah.
That's super awesome.
Um, I
Congratulations on
appreciate it.
everything. It was so funny. I remember when we first met,
Yeah.
that was back, oh, was that 2024? Was that last year? That
Yeah, I
might have been
think
the year
so.
before
Might
that.
even been the year before.
Yeah, but it was, we were at the butterfly breakfast
Yeah.
in Danbury for Danbury Youth Services, and
Mhm.
I remember we were sitting at the same table,
Yeah.
and I was pulled to your energy. I was just like, this guy
I
seems
appreciate
so interesting,
it.
but I know nothing about you. And then all of a sudden they were calling you up, and I was like, he is somebody that's interesting. And
Thank you.
I'm like, he definitely has a story. And so to hear your story now and to really like dive deep into it, it's so amazing to hear you really grow and come back from everything. And you definitely are like the true you know symbol of resilience.
Thank you.
So does that feel like a weight at all? Do you feel the weight or the pressure to maintain sobriety now, or to do you feel the weight, like does the weight ever feel like it's too heavy?
Absolutely. maybe not too heavy, but heavy like that.
Mm.
But in a way, it saved my life. I remember when I did that run. I took that first picture on the run, came back, sat down, boom, 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 like cropped the pics together, put the words. I was crying while typing it. And I went to hit send, and I remember being like, "Thank God I was a year sober, so I had the perspective to reflect on what I actually do today in my decisions." And I remember saying to myself, like, "Bro, you click send, you're choosing a platform. Like, there's more responsibility. It's not you're gonna, you know, I could hurt the image of sobriety, and I'm not that important." That's what my mentor tells me that I need to hear because I could have a big ego. Anyone can, and it's not good to have that much pressure. But at the same time, I knew, you know what I mean. If you look up to me for sobriety and I relapse, that you're gonna have an idea about sobriety that's not real or something. But on the same sense, I knew like, well, it's gonna give me a responsibility. I need responsibility. And I think through my brother, multiple aspects I've been through in sobriety, it's kept me sober. There's a lot of times I could have relapsed. And I remember the moment I found my brother, and I was just like, it's bigger than you, man. You got too many people looking up to you. And my parents, my brother, I made amends to them. I said I wouldn't do this. So it's probably saved my life in a lot of times. But it's funny, I was on a podcast earlier today, and we were talking about that. And he's a big sobriety influencer. He has a million followers all over. And we talked about that now people are posting very on and early because like people want to be that. And we just said we hope they really see what it is because there is a weight. They say you do good for God and then the devil will come. You know what I mean? If the devil's not coming for you when you're just an addict, my life was easier as an addict, scarier and stuff. But once I got sober, life started hitting. And if you try to do good, you're gonna have obstacles, whether it's the devil or life, whatever it is. But yeah, there's definitely times where it's weight, and real recently I've been trying to get back to just my basics, and it's been feeling amazing.
Mm.
Because I actually started all this wasn't Recovery John. It was get lifted mentally, spiritually, physically.
And that was what I was gonna ask too before, because I was listening to your podcast and I was like, did I get the name wrong?
Yeah,
And but then I'm like, oh wait, this was a while ago.
yeah.
And so I'm like, you probably changed the name. So what made you change the name?
Really, just branding.
Branding.
Things get professional. Recovery John is more like, I don't know what you'd say, like a staple. Like people don't know what get lifted. They look at it and be like, what is that? So I explain the get lifted now, but the Recovery John and Addict's Truth are the two like brand names. I
And
guess
what made you come up with the name and Addict's Truth?
I just bounced around for a while, and I was like, you know what? Instead of my truth, it's other people's truth. So it's interesting to hear, the truth behind it. Because like you said, I think getting sober and the work I've done has given me perspective of so much that people, like even my book wasn't just like, if it wasn't for God putting me in this position, I would not be on social media. I would not write a book. I'm a private person.
Mm.
I don't even like put my girlfriends on there, my family. Like I don't post like what I'm doing throughout the day. I get in trouble sometimes because companies I work with are like, people, you're an influencer. Like you got to post the grocery store. And I'm like, that's my peaceful time. But I'm getting better at it. And I'm grateful for the platform I have today. But yeah, I mean, it was just cool that I understood that's why I was doing it. Even the book, I've had so many moms reach out, and sisters and dads and sons of addicts and daughters of addicts. It's that it just hit me. Like God gave me that perspective that like people need it. Yeah, the addicts need it to get hope. But I've had moms, their sons overdose reach out. Everyone needs that. And today I help a lot of I help a lot of people find help, and the most amount of people I put in a rehab or treatment or detox or meeting is from a family member. They're the ones
Mhm.
navigating it for them.
So I want to ask you,
Mhm,
and this is a very specific question, so make sure that you ask me if you need me to rephrase it.
mhm.
When God spoke, what did he tell you?
I never hear his voice. It was the whole vision. I
Mm.
saw all the way to where we are today. Maybe not exactly, but you know what I mean? It was just use social media. Like I couldn't even put it into words. It was in my soul. Like it was more of the whole vision. Like and it was hard. I had to stick with God. I mean, this is cool now. I'm signing books and Recovery John. I'm 6 years sober. I've been posting since one, and this really took off like a year and a half ago. So for 3 years, I was I won't say bum bartender, but I was just a grown like 30-year-old bartender living at home, not really making a lot of money. I went into electrical for a little. Like my parents at some point were like, "Bro, you better figure something out. This ain't working." Like, which I get because like they loved what I was so proud of me, but I was still like I couldn't get my own place. Like my dad's like he'd say all the time, "You gotta support a wife someday. Like just think about other ideas." Um, and there was a lot of times I thought about quitting. But I remember just on that run, like post, you'll help people, and then I didn't see after that. I was like I just knew I'd be okay. And today, thank God, I work with a treatment center I totally believe in. I'm working to be an owner of. I have social media, the podcast, a book, so it's
Yay.
coming together. You know what I mean? Financially, at least I can support myself now, and I have some of the goals I never thought I would have. But yeah, he just gave me the whole. Looking back, it's crazy. Yeah, God will give you a lot of strength because I probably should have quit a couple times to be honest, but we made it, so we'll just keep pushing.
So what's next?
Yeah, that's a real thing. I really want to get into be my own center owner. Having a hand in actually helping people, which I do now. But right now, I'm more of so many people reach out for help. It's just having those resources. So legally, I only work with one for like, you only can and only want to. But obviously, we have connections around the country, so someone may call from wherever, and we'll find them the help for them. But we're looking to expand to Jersey, hopefully. So I work with California Wellness Center and Hope Restored. Two amazing guys. The reason I chose them is their values. They're mentors to me in sobriety and in business. And I really believe about our program. So just to keep growing with them and hopefully, keep having a hand in the actual program of getting people help. And then hopefully I get crazy financially free. And then I just want to like give my time and speak to schools and give back. And, even now I do some pro bono recovery coaching and whatever I can do to help people, and I think God will guide that and we'll see. But I'm starting to work on a little second book, but that's more of just personal development, not sobriety.
That's great. I would love to read it. I'm so excited
Thank
to
you.
just see
Yeah.
like what you do and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you a question. And this is probably gonna be the biggest question that I ask you tonight.
Okay.
Um, how did you become you? What is it that um happened to you today that led you to ultimately become you in the best way and the best version of yourself?
All my failures and traumas, nothing good got me here. You don't get anything from good things, I'll be honest. Like if anything, good things are fun and they're cool and they're blessings, but they can cause a lot of problems and be in
Right.
disguise. You know, those early traumas, addiction. I love when people are like, because I'm very like straightforward and sarcastic and sick sometimes. So like you, people be like, "Oh, you're so deep, or your perspectives." I'm like, "That's good. I just need to smoke crack and get arrested 7 times to learn them." Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm
Yeah.
very clear that I do not have an ego really anymore. When it comes to that.
I'm the
That
same way.
yeah.
People they interview, me and they think that I'm like,
Mm,
like a tight ass or something. And I'm like,
yeah.
I got to stick up my ass. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm just doing, I'm like the funniest person in
Cracking
the room,
jokes. Yeah.
and then, I'm the silliest person in the room. So no one would ever know that. But
Yeah.
I think that trauma in a way helps you to lighten up.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like your way of getting through the situation is
Mm,
by kind of making light of everything that you go through.
yeah.
So what would you say is some advice that you would give to somebody that was in your situation or that experienced something as a child and that is now using drugs to escape
Mm.
their reality and to disassociate from their reality? What would you say is some advice that you would have for them today?
Definitely that pain is going to be your purpose. You don't have to be recovery John. I don't wish it on everyone. Like you said, it does come with a lot of weight. But that taught me, like your last question, every lesson that I've learned today, which gives me peace. That's beyond any platform or sobriety date. That is the biggest thing I've gotten out of this is having faith and peace, and knowing God and having faith in Him. But I would just say ask for help. That was my biggest struggle. And the two things that gave me the most success were open mindedness and willingness. Once I did those two things, I refer that to everything. people are like, damn, dude, you like, even my business aspect, this has only been a year and a half. I'm looking to like open a rehab. I've already made leaps and bounds, #1 book, because I have no ego in anything. You know, my ego used to, "Oh, I don't want people to know I'm struggling. What if I go
Ego
to
death is the most
rehab?
important thing.
Yeah, like everyone's gonna know I'm gonna go. Everyone's gonna know I go to rehab. They already know I'm doing heroin every morning. Like, what is the big deal? What was I worried of? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's checking, that self talk and your motives. That like, what are you really hiding from? Like, and then you're free. But yeah, just that you could ask for help, and that's gonna be your success and peace and everything. But just checking really, your motives. And my biggest thing is you can't have something you want if you're not willing to do what it takes to get it. So if I want something I've never had, I have to do something I've never done. And for me, that was getting vulnerable, detox, rehab, walking into an AA meeting, praying. More I do, and that's why I say about being like the business aspect works too, is, I'll ask anyone for help. I want to write a book. I know how to write a book. I've read 2 books before I wrote that book in my life. And what I do, I call people that wrote books. Yo, how do you write this book? And how do you publish a book? And the more open-minded that you are and taking suggestions, you can make it anywhere.
Well, Jon, thank you so much.
No
Thank
problem.
you for your time. Thank you for sitting down with me and being my first podcast guest. Hopefully, we look back at this years from now and we say,
Can't
wow, you were
believe it.
my first guest.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. And I'm
Thank you
like,
so.
in a way, I feel energetically connected to your mother, and I know that she's proud of you as well.
Thank you.
That
Appreciate it.
she's proud of you, that your father's proud of you, and you have turned your life around.
Mhm.
And just think about everything in this moment, right now, right here, sitting down, that you really have turned it all around and you've made everything better, and you did become you essentially. So thank you for becoming you, so that you can sit here across from me today and tell your story and share and help others essentially. So
Thanks for
thank
having
you.
me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good deal.